Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today I've got a confirming dream, some scary information on Russia, and also another food shortage. Okay, so here we go. First of all, the confirming dream, it's a short one. So this lady says in this dream, I was sitting around a table with some family members, and all of a sudden I saw flashes outside in the sky. I immediately knew it was Jesus coming to get his bride. In other words, the rapture. But at the same time, wait a minute, Stan, are you saying there's a pre-trib rapture? No, this is actually confirming when I think it is, about 4 months before Armageddon to take us to the marriage supper of the Lamb, as I've said many times. But at the same time, as I see these flashes in the sky, I saw missiles raining down. I've always felt that when Jesus comes to get his bride, that at the same time, missiles will be coming down as we will be going up, and I agree. Okay, now, we have a gift of water. Of course, everybody is sending out the Black Friday specials, and so we decided to do one ourselves. The Aqua Pure water filter, normally $275 with one filter, is now $250 with two filters, normally $375 for $335 at prophecyclub.com. Prophecyclub.com. And if you have not already called 800-200-GOLD, I recommend you do so, especially if your wealth is in paper where it can be lost. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost anything to call them, 800-200-GOLD. All right, now to the food shortage. And there's lots and lots of these. I've covered many of them. I've just got one new one I want to show you today. Tyson closes 3 meat plants, lays off 1,000 workers, and this is in Emporia, Kansas. When I was in the business training world for 13 years, I actually called on this plant, and they would send people to my course most every time I brought one to Emporia, Kansas. Emporia, Kansas was part of my area for those, about 10 years, I guess it was. Anyway, so it's another time that this is our food supplies getting cut off. So again, I'd recommend you go to Joseph's, there's an S in there, josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. Get yourself some food. Most places, $9,000, $10,000 to feed a person for a year. At Joseph's Kitchen, you can do it for about $1,000 per person per year. josephskitchen.com. All right. Now, as I've already covered, November 11th, 2024, I was waking up from a nap, and I had been asking the Lord to tell me about suitcase nukes. And what I heard was 2 words, medical, and was screaming like a trumpet in my ear, but Leslie waking up next to me didn't even hear it. So it's not this ear, it was this ear. The second time I've heard his voice like this, the first one said, massive arrests. So I think I have thus saith the Lord that massive arrests are coming. And also, I think he's telling me and all of the people that listen to Prophecy Club that you should get your medical supplies. My guess, most of us don't even have much more than a couple of Band-Aids. Okay, I mean, it needs serious medical attention. And for that, we'll send you to refugemedical.com. Promo code is prophecy. Okay, let's go on. So now let's talk about Russia. This is the major thing I want to talk about today. Okay, so everybody's been wondering, what in the world are those drones up there? So now we have an answer. Representative Jeff Van Drew. Now, this is a guy who used to be a Democrat, and he switched over to being a Republican, and he is a strong Republican now. Jeff Van Drew drops bombshell. Iran is launching spy drones from a mothership just miles from Trump's New Jersey home. These drones should be shot down, he says. So the point that I want to make here is, how can something be in our airspace above our homes and it not be immediately investigated? Let's put the shoe on the other foot. If drones were appearing in Russia, what would happen? Probably within the first 15 minutes, the first one would be shot down. First, we shoot it down, and then we ask questions. But in America, oh no. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is America is not being protected. Our Biden military is not protecting us. Hopefully, the Trump military will. Okay. Now, I've covered this many times. The 160 guest speakers we had through Prophecy Club making 330 DVDs. This guy is my favorite. I had him in my home several times, gone to be with the Lord now. But Henry Groover walked and prayed over cities. He would get a map and systematically walk up and down every street in the city, praying loud, praying in spirit, pulling down strongholds, loosing the angels to do warfare. When he was done, he would go up to a high point over the city, raise his hands, reclaim the city for God, and many times revival would break in the city. This is Henry Groover. If there's anybody I know you can count on, Dimitri Duduman and Henry Groover. Those two, absolutely no question. Here's what he saw. So he says, one day I was in Wales, December the 14th. He was out walking and praying. He went on top of the Eagle Tower in the Carnarvon Castle. All of a sudden, I was above the earth, looking down on the earth like a globe, and I saw all of these massive amounts of airplanes, ships and airplanes, coming above Norway out of this inlet. They headed down between the United States and Europe, literally covered the whole Atlantic. I looked over on the globe at the United States, and I saw coming out of the United States these radio communication towers. Now, in 1986, he didn't know what those were, but later he saw them to be cell towers, okay? I saw the jagged lines to show that they had communications coming out. Then all of a sudden, they began to sprinkle down on the earth like dust. And I thought, oh no. They're not getting through. They don't know what is happening. They're totally oblivious. Now, what happened? They got hit with EMP devices, which are high-altitude nuclear explosions that send out an EMP, fries all the computer chips, which is why I have one right here. Well, I recommend you get one of these. EMPShield.com. Stick it on your cars. Stick it on your house. Use the promo code Prophecy. Get your $50 discount. And it also helps with Prophecy Club. Okay, anyway. All of a sudden, they began to sprinkle down on the earth like dust. And I thought, oh, no, they're not getting through. They don't know what is happening. They're totally oblivious. Then I began to see submarines emerging from under the surface. I was surprised at how close they were to our borders. They were in our territorial waters. Another place, he says it looks like they were parked on our beaches. Now, remember this because it can tie into some things I'll show you in a second. The missiles took less than 60 seconds from launch to detonation. I saw Seattle, Bellevue, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Miami, and Tampa. I saw 6 nuclear blasts that just literally leveled everything. These are not suitcase nukes. These are city killing. One bomb kills a city. I mean, it's flat, okay? And I cried out and I said, oh God, when will this be and what will be the sign of its coming? He said, I heard an audible voice speak from behind me and say, when Russia opens her doors and lets the masses go, the free world will will let down their weapons and cry peace and safety. Then sudden destruction will come. Then is when it will come. Now, this is Eric Prince. He was interviewed on what's her name there? I forget her name. U.S. has no means to shoot down the Russia's Mach 9 hypersonic ballistic missiles that were just fired on Ukraine. He's a former Navy SEAL officer and founder of Blackwater, the largest private military company. And he says Russia has changed the game this past week following the taunting of the U.S. and NATO attacks. See, America, Biden, evil people controlling America right now are starting the war. The U.S. had no means to shoot down Russia's Mach 9 hypersonic missiles like the one was fired on Ukraine last week. And I'll tell you another reason we know this. So you remember here a couple of months ago, Iran fired 180 missiles on Israel. Only 8 of them got through. The 8 that were all hypersonic missiles. Again, the hypersonic goes up and down, turns left, right, faster, slower. They can't shoot it down. Now, how do we know they can't shoot it down? Because 8 got through and hit Israel. Here's the way it works. So America makes these military things, bombs, missiles, airplanes, whatever. Then we send it to Israel, and they improve on it. They make it better than what we did. So when these 8 hypersonic missiles got through Israel's defenses, we know that they can also get through America's defenses. We are defenseless. In other words, God's hand, by the hand of the Russians, can take out America any time they want to. And now we drew first blood. Now they can say, wait a minute, they started it. All right. Russia fired its advanced hypersonic missile into Ukraine last week, and Americans better wake up, he says. There's no good outcome to this war. It needs to de-escalate and be done. There's no chance the Ukraine is going to retake its land in Donetsk and Luhansk. The areas in the east, certainly not Crimea. It's been a fool's errand for the last year and a half, and all we're doing is wiping out the next generations of Ukrainian men and Russian men and women too. Imagine if there was this border clash with Mexico, and there were Russians providing weapons to Mexico being fired inside the United States. Imagine if Russian weapons given to Mexico were fired, landed, and killed Americans in America. What would we do? That's how Russia feels right now. The bear is spitting mad. Again, just like Dmitry was told. Next article, Russia conducts nuclear drills as Joe Biden and NATO ramp up threats of long-range missile strikes on Russian homeland. Now, the missiles have already hit at this point, but what I'm saying is this is Biden behind it, and Russia is practicing nuclear drills. They're not kidding, and we aren't getting the message. Russia conducted nuclear missiles this Saturday, and as the U.S., NATO, and West continue to ramp up threats against the Russian homeland, and now they have hit the Russian homeland. In response, Russia launched an Orshit, however you say that, hypersonic missile into Ukraine. Western defenses do not have the technology to stop it. It's not a joke or a game to Russia. Next article, Elon Musk delivers harrowing news to treasonous liar and leaker Alexander Vindman after he seemingly accuses Musk of selling state secrets to Putin. So, it's saying that we have traitors among us. That should be no surprise. Russian forces are gobbling up territory in Ukraine at a rapid pace, and so the Western elite have decided to gamble with all of our lives. We are in trouble. We are in serious trouble. Talk of a preemptive attack on Russia is going to make Russia even more likely to conduct a preemptive attack against us. Yes, the Western nations, even though this is an older article, the Western nations are still preparing to do something to attack Israel or to attack Russia. U.S. changes its nuclear posture. As of this evening, the U.S. placed strategic nuclear submarines on high alert. The U.S. Department of Defense has upgraded its nuclear deterrence strategy. Let me just tell you, Russia is not worried. Russia has, sad to say, scalar wave, which can knock out anything in the air, on the land, on the sea, under the sea, any place on the globe, anytime they want to, with no residual of who did it and how it was done or where it came from. They can knock out any missile that we throw at Russia. They're not worried about what America can do to them. They're only concerned about when they're going to take out America. Hal Turner remarks, the United States has simply never upgraded its nuclear deterrence posture. We are sitting ducks, but I can't seem to get anybody to listen to me. You know, Stan Johnson, he still believes in that. Dmitry did and all that warning. Look at, I met Dmitry. I went to his home. I had him in my home 2 times. I went on, 30 or 40 city speaking tour with him. I knew Dmitry. I spent a lot of time with him. So did Leslie. That's the reason it'd be in your best interest to listen to what I'm saying here. Next article, U.S. military prepared for nuclear strikes. The U.S. is ready to use nuclear weapons if necessary. Oh, yeah, well, that's a big boast. Even if we use them, Russia's not worried. It'd take down every one of them. The U.S. will continue to lead the world. Yeah, right. Well, we don't lead the world right now. Okay, right now, the technological advantage is to the Russians. We do not have hypersonic missiles. We do not have missiles that can slow down, speed up, turn left and right. We do not have that. And we openly admit We do not have that. He goes on to say, if we have an exchange, then what we want to do in the terms that are most acceptable to the United States. Yeah, right. There is no exchange. Russia takes out America, Revelation 8. Here, I'll tell you. Revelation 18, Jeremiah 50, 51, Isaiah 13, 21, 47, 6 chapters in the Bible tell you exactly what's going to happen to America. And the angel Gabriel that spoke to Dmitri specifically said, Revelation 18, the whole chapter is all talking about the fall of America in 1 hour. For she saith in her heart, a sit a queen, and I'm no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in 1 day, death, mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Russia threatens to attack new U.S. base in Poland with advanced weapons. That's right. We've not only sent our weapons over to Ukraine, but we've also sent them to Poland, and now Poland is preparing to attack Russia with Western weapons. We are doing everything we can to make Russia angry at us and to attack and to destroy us. Russia has threatened to attack a new U.S. defense base in Poland with advanced weapons, just hours after reportedly launching an intercontinental ballistic missile at Ukraine on Thursday. Biden authorizes Ukraine to use long-range missiles to attack deep into interior Russia. Well, the attack has already taken place now. We have already killed Russians on Russian soil with American weapons that can only be guided by American satellites. So it goes on to say we should expect to get bombed here inside the U.S. from Russia. For months, Russian submarines have been off the Atlantic coast, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Pacific coast. And they're also up around Alaska. Submarine-launched missiles would have very brief flight time before impacting U.S. targets. Well, that's what the prophets say, but it seems like I can't get anybody to listen to what God says through his prophets anymore. And why should they? Because A, most people in America don't believe in God. They don't believe in Jesus. They don't believe that. They don't believe he has prophets. And so if they don't believe he has prophets, they're not believing he's even talking. That's part of the problem. Moreover, we in the U.S. do not have over-the-horizon radar protecting us from missiles launched from the south. Well, let me just tell you, we don't have anything protecting us from any of the Russian hypersonic missiles. Such missiles could cross over our coastline and impact deep into middle America. It can take us out right now. And they've demonstrated that to Israel. This decision is to direct responsibility to President Joseph Biden. He is starting World War III because his party lost the election. Well, I'm sorry, that's not the real reason he's doing it. Real reason he's doing is he knows the fence that stands between his God, Lucifer, the Antichrist, sitting on the Ark of the Covenant, the golden throne of God. The fence separating that from happening is primarily America. And I believe he is you can't be a traitor unless you're at war. So he's not a traitor. I don't know the correct word, but he's certainly not a man of God, certainly not a man that is putting America first. But all of this is all the hand of God because America has decided to turn from God. We have ruled this planet for thousands of years. We'll destroy it rather than give it up. The Moloch said that to Benjamin Fulford. And right now, America is now about to start being ruled by the good guys, mostly by the Christians or what's left of them. But the point is, that means now the devil's about to destroy America. I don't think it's happening this month. I don't even think it's happening in this year or even 25. I do think some terrible things are coming, suitcase nukes, New Madrid earthquake, death of the dollar, all sorts of things like that. But the total destruction of America, in my opinion, we're still talking a few years off before the Russians attack us. North Korean leader orders military to raise readiness for possible war. How many warning signs? See, in my lifetime, I've never seen so many warning signs saying our nation is in trouble, and yet we continue to go to the ball games. We continue to have a good time. We are not concerned with the end times. We don't need to hear about the last days. Just like my book, Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, we shouldn't be able to keep it in. And it sells well for a little small ministry like we have. But I think one of these days, this will sell millions of copies. I know it sounds arrogant. I'm sorry for that. But this is the book, one book that can bring you up to date, help you to understand Bible prophecy at prophecyclub.com. Anyway, let's go on. So the West has decided on such a level of escalation that it can end with Ukrainian statehood in complete ruins by morning. Look, I think it's Vance that says Ukraine is not our problem. Trump kind of alludes to that too. This is a very big step towards the start of World War III. No, it is the start of World War III, or I should say Armageddon. As I've said many times, February 22nd of 2022, notice the twos, was the start when Russia invaded Ukraine. And that started World War III, that started Armageddon. And it won't, the Russian bear will not stop ravaging until Jesus returns at Armageddon. This war will continue to escalate. There will not be peace at the war. And at the end of the war, there's not going to be any of the war. He'll continue to rampage straight out of Daniel chapter 7 until finally Jesus returns and puts him down in a moment in the twinkling of an eye at the last trump. Chairman of the State Duma Lower House's Foreign Affairs Committee said, strikes with U.S. missiles deep inside Russian regions will inevitably entail a serious escalation, which threatens to lead to much more serious consequences. What's he saying? It's saying, you hit us, and we're going to destroy you. Russia knows we can't stop their missiles. They know their missiles can destroy us in 1 hour. I think they're just waiting until the hand of God releases them. As Russia starts being hit by these Western weapons, and Russia starts being killed, it is already fully known that Russia will hold the West responsible and strike back. Well, I think the Russians have been very, very patient because we've already struck them, and yet they haven't hit back. They have turned the other cheek several times. If Western weapons strike deep inside Russian territory, our response to the West will be devastating. We've been warned. I read an article the other day. Russia has warned us and warned us and warned us. We're not listening. This is HalTurnerRadioShow.com. I got a call from a source who told me that Russian Vladimir Putin has been in the air from Moscow for about an hour. This is a couple of weeks ago. On his way to the Ural Mountains. Now, I don't know whether he's still there or not. That's not the point. Russia is ready. But have you heard that Biden jumped on board Air Force One, is heading to a bunker? Have you heard that? No. We are not prepared. We don't have any underground preparatory fallout shelters. We don't have any food underground. Americans are not prepared at all. But that's not the case with the Russians. They are prepared. They've even come out with an app now that can warn the Russian people when it's time to go to the underground shelters. Each person has already an underground shelter and their food stored there. Russia is ready to go to war and defeat America right now. So the Russian president, the president of Russia, does not board a plane from Moscow to the Ural Mountains at about 3:30 in the morning for a drill. They're serious. I think it is a drill, but they don't know that for sure. All of the Russian military's top brass and their wives are boarding planes for the Urals as I type this. This was, again, a couple of weeks ago, but the point is still the same. They are prepared. They're not kidding. China has fired an ICBM into the Pacific Ocean. It's a shot across the bow. China is saying, look, you're not just going to have trouble with Russia. We're going to be involved with you. Now, that's what they planned. Remember the dream that where Dmitri was shown what they had planned, and then the angel said, but how I've told you is how it will really happen. How's it going to happen? The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with their internal problems. Here it is. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in 1 day, 1 hour. Then, here it is, God will raise up China and Japan and many of the nations, the NATO nations, I would assume. They'll go against the Russians and defeat the Russians. They'll back the Russians to the gates of Paris, but they'll make the Russians their leader. Straight out Ezekiel 38 and 39. Then with the Russians as their leader, All the world goes down to attack little Israel, it's Armageddon, and Jesus returns in the clouds and defeats the armies of the nation. This is all fitting into prophecy. Ukraine attacks Russia using U.S.-supplied ATACMS missiles. Ukraine has carried out, we've already hit Russia. Russia can already take out America right now. Look, I'll just let you read it. I'm running out of time, but I'm just going to say, look, brothers and sisters, A, ask Jesus into your heart. Ask Jesus to forgive your sins. B, if you can help Prophecy Club, we would really appreciate it. It's still tight, still tight. As you recall, this past Saturday, November the 9th, the Lord spoke to me 2 words screaming at me loud like a trumpet. Medical, medical. I take that to mean that not only myself, but also those that follow Prophecy Club, in addition to all of the other preparations we've made, we need to start making medical preparations. And I put that out, and I was deluged with emails sending me to this place. This is the place that all of you seem to like when it comes to medical supplies. So I called them, hooked up, and I've arranged to get you a 5% discount when you use the promo code PROPHECY. Promo code PROPHECY, 5% discount, and it's refugemedical.com. refugemedical.com. And as you can see, they have all kinds of, here's one of the main things you need to get. It's called a burn bucket. This tells you all about it. They also have a business bundle, a home bundle. I think everybody ought to have at least a home bundle. They also have vehicle bundles, church bundles. So they already put this stuff together, and this is not foreign-made stuff. This is all American-made, and it's by a Christian company. And you go to refugemedical.com. refugemedical.com. In 2021, I started making bread, and long story short is I believe God showed me that wheat is God's famine food, just like it was famine food back in the 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine, days of Pharaoh and Joseph. And I believe that that's what God has planned to feed his people. And you get it by going to josephskitchen.com. 3 steps. First, you want to get a machine package. Second, you want to order 6 ingredients and watch some videos, download the recipes to be able to make the bread. josephskitchen.com. Most of your long-time storage food, emergency food, all of that, typically are talking $9,000, $10,000 to feed one person for a year. Joseph Kitchen can show you how to do it for around $1,000 a person, and your kids will actually eat it. Go check it out, josephskitchen.com.